Welcome to the Economist in Your Ear podcast. Have you ever encountered something new that everyone is suddenly talking about, a product or maybe a trend that seems to just explode out of nowhere, and it leaves you wondering, is there maybe a deeper story here? Or perhaps an older truth behind all that sudden buzz? Today we're going to unpack exactly that kind of phenomenon. We're looking at the fascinating, really multi-century journey of a traditional Chinese cough syrup. It's called pei and it's been making some serious waves in the West lately. Not just whispers, but openly touted by celebrities, showing up all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, you name it.
That's right. And we'll try to dissect what's truly fueling this recent surge in fame. We'll look at what the sort of mainstream narrative gets right, and perhaps more importantly, what crucial details or deeper complexities it might be oversimplifying or maybe entirely missing. Our goal really is to go beyond just the surface buzz and try to understand the intricate forces of economics, tradition, even botany, that has shaped this global phenomenon.
Okay, so let's start with the story, as it's often told, especially in Western media. This sweet, viscous, almost mud-colored syrup, first concocted way back centuries ago in the 1600s, it's now experiencing what many are calling a remarkable, maybe even sudden, explosion in popularity. I mean, we're talking sales figures that shot up by nearly a third just between 2019 and 2024. It hit something like $88 million last year. And it's not some niche product anymore either. You can apparently find it in over 20 countries now. For something with such ancient roots, that's quite a contemporary leap, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That surge in visibility, the sales number, that's all definitely accurate. We've certainly seen a significant uptick in attention in English language media, especially online like TikTok, and the celebrity angle. That's very real, too. Well documented. You see posts linking the syrup to, say, cast members from Wicked, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey,
Right.
And even big names like Zayn Malik. It lines up perfectly with the current chatter, the online trends. It's definitely caught a major wave of public interest, no doubt about it.
And that price difference between markets, it's genuinely striking. If you're in Hong Kong, apparently you can grab a 300-milliliter bottle for about $5 US. But here in America, on Amazon maybe, you're looking at, what, 3 times that? Often $16, even $20. The Economist article, which kind of sparked our interest here, often frames this Western enthusiasm, particularly among younger people, as part of this bigger biohacking craze. This trend where people experiment with unconventional, sometimes unproven methods, supposedly to improve their health. Is that framing fair, do you think, or is there more to it?
Well, the price disparity, you mentioned, that's spot on. Yeah, a 300-milliliter bottle, HK $49.09 is common in Hong Kong, so that's, about US $6.30? And the U.S. list prices on Amazon, consistently too, sometimes 3 times higher, definitely. The article is also correct that, the FDA doesn't approve herbal supplements to treat disease. That's key. So it's sold here as a dietary supplement with the necessary disclaimers. So the idea that it won't get FDA blessing for therapeutic claims is, directionally accurate. And importantly, the article does correctly flag the tariff situation. Since 2020, Hong Kong goods are treated as made in China for tariff purposes. And as of August 12th, 2025, those U.S. tariffs are still at 30% for another 90 days. That certainly adds to the shelf price American consumers see, no question.
Okay, given all that, let's really dig into this idea. Is its popularity just a biohacking fad, like some suggest? Because that framing, it feels a bit too simple, maybe almost dismissive, especially for something with, centuries of history behind it. What's your take?
That's a really crucial point. Because while the biohacking angle and the social media buzz are undeniably powerful drivers right now, framing pei as purely a fad overlooks a very plausible, maybe modest, but real functional mechanism. At its core, the syrup is what we call a demulcent.
It's emulsant.
Yeah, it means it contains ingredients like honey, a thick syrupy base, and menthol. These things coat and soothe the mucous membranes, in your throat. And there's actually substantial peer-reviewed evidence suggesting honey can relieve upper respiratory symptoms. Sometimes it performs as well as, or even better than, usual care or placebo in studies. Plus, both the menthol and just the act of swallowing something sweet and viscous that can help raise your cough threshold.
Okay.
Labeling it just a fad kind of misses that point. It has a functional basis used in traditional medicine for ages. It's not just in your head. There's a real comforting, soothing effect.
That really does shift the perspective. It's much more than just some trendy curiosity then.
Okay, now let's circle back to those price dynamics. Is it only about tariffs? The article really leans into that, but it feels like duties alone might not fully explain such a big, persistent price gap in the West. Are there other, maybe more fundamental things going on, deeper than just import fees?
You're absolutely right to question that. Tariffs, yes, they're a factor, definitely contribute. But supply-side constraints, especially around the raw materials, they actually play a arguably more fundamental role in the pricing. One of the key herbs in peipacoa is bulbous Fritillaria cirrhosae. Common name is chuanbei.
Chuanbei.
Right. This herb faces long-standing challenges. We're talking overharvesting, sustainability pressures. This is happening across its natural habitats in the Himalayas, the Qinghai Tibet region. There's extensive peer-reviewed research, studies on botanical supply chains that specifically point to products like peipacoa as major users of these Fritillaria bulbs.
Wow. So when you have tight raw material supply, that significantly lifts production costs, regardless of tariffs. It builds a kind of persistent, higher price base right into the product itself. Sourcing these high-quality, often wild-harvested herbs reliably, sustainably, that's a constant challenge.
That's fascinating, and something you don't usually hear about, that environmental angle on traditional remedies. Okay, shifting to distribution. The Economist piece suggested Western availability was mainly through, third-party Amazon arbitrage, sort of painting a picture of a gray market, maybe opportunistic resellers. Is that still the whole story, or has the company itself stepped in seeing this demand?
Yeah, that perception is actually a bit outdated now. I mean, third-party reselling definitely happened and probably still does to some extent. But Ninjiom itself has adapted strategically. They now run their own dedicated U.S. website. They have a branded storefront on Amazon, too.
Oh, so they're official now.
Exactly. It shows a much more mature distribution strategy. They're moving beyond relying mainly on, gray market channels or just resellers. When the brand itself sets up shop officially in a market, it signals a deliberate long-term commitment. And that official presence also tends to, over time, compress the price dispersion. It leads to a more stable, transparent market for consumers, not just random markups by independent sellers. It's a sign of real market penetration, not just a fleeting fad.
Right. And what about this narrative, this sort of young Westerners going gaga over it, positioning it specifically as a sudden Gen Z biohack? Does that kind of flatten the story? Does it simplify its much longer, more complex journey into Western awareness?
Oh, absolutely. It simplifies things massively. Yeah. The popular media pieces, they love the novelty angle, right? Yeah. Sudden discovery. Yeah. But the foundation for peipacoa consumption in the West goes back decades. It was primarily driven by diaspora demand.
Right, of course.
Think about it. It became a staple in many immigrant households ages ago, passed down through families. And that deep-seated demand then kind of merged with this broader mainstream acceptance of traditional Chinese wellness practices. We've seen it with other things, like gua sha.
Yeah, which everyone suddenly knew about a few years ago.
Exactly. A technique that, predates TikTok by centuries. So while the Gen Z interest is real and it's a powerful amplifier, pushing it into new spaces, it's really just one part of a much larger, much longer story. It's about gradual cultural integration, acceptance, something that's been evolving for generations. It's an old remedy finding new relevance.
That makes so much more sense. An evolution, not an invention out of thin air. Okay, finally on the safety side. The article mentions the FDA status, or lack thereof. But what's a more practical, sort of everyday nuance that might be missing for the average person buying a bottle? A more immediate safety point.
Yeah, that's a good distinction to make. It's true. It's not FDA approved as a drug to treat disease. It's sold as a dietary supplement. But honestly, the most relevant practical safety note for consumers is much simpler. Because it contains honey, it is not suitable for infants under 12 months old.
Ah, the botulism risk.
Precisely. Due to the risk, albeit rare, of infant botulism, that's a crucial piece of actionable safety info for parents, caregivers, much more immediate than abstract regulatory status discussions. It's standard for any honey product for infants.
Okay, so pulling all these different threads together, how should we, as listeners, as informed consumers, really understand this whole peipacoa phenomenon? Beyond the headlines, beyond the idea of it being just another internet fad, what's the real takeaway?
Well, if we connect the dots, the demand drivers are way more intricate than just celebs and TikTok videos. They also tap into broader public health trends. Think about the recurring cycles of respiratory viruses, flu season, the recent pandemic.
Yeah.
There's just heightened awareness,
For
right?
sure. People are looking for relief.
Exactly. And that leads to a more widespread, kind of proactive search for gentler symptom relief. Especially since, let's be honest, many standard over-the-counter coughs and medicines offer pretty limited benefits for a nagging cough or sore throat. Demulcent syrups, the ones that coat and soothe, they fit that niche perfectly. They offer something comforting, traditional, and often genuinely helpful for symptoms. Now, regarding the price and policy stuff, that August 12th tariff extension basically locks in a layer of cost pressure, at least for now. But even if those tariffs were to disappear tomorrow, other fundamental factors mean there'd still be a significant cost base. We talked about the botanical inputs, like that scarce fritillaria. There's the rigorous quality control in manufacturing, often in Hong Kong or Taiwan, plus the basic costs of global distribution.
Right, shipping it all over the world.
Yeah. So we should still expect U.S. prices to be noticeably higher than Hong Kong prices. It's not just trade policy. It reflects a complex global supply chain reality. But what's truly fascinating here, I think, and maybe the biggest insight, is this overall normalization trend. The growing U.S. brand presence, that shift to official distribution, the more consistent pricing, it all points to peipacoa fundamentally shifting its status. It's moving, really, from being this curious, maybe exotic novelty to becoming a pretty mainstream supplement in North America.
Right.
And that's a fundamentally different story, a much more enduring one than just a short-lived craze that fades with the next online trend. It suggests real acceptance, lasting value in a new context.
That really crystallizes the transition well. Okay, let's challenge some assumptions then. What if? What if those tariffs we talked about just vanished tomorrow, gone? Would U.S. prices suddenly nosedive? Would it become as cheap here as it is in Hong Kong?
Yep. Highly unlikely? No. Even without any tariffs, you'd still have a significant price gap. Think about the sheer cost of distribution across North America versus a compact city like Hong Kong. Think about different retailer markups. And critically, that persistent scarcity, the cost of those key raw herbs like fritillaria, those are embedded costs, independent of import duties. They'd maintain a noticeable price difference.
Okay, makes sense. And what about the other side? What if the social media buzz, the TikTok stuff, the celebrity shout-outs, what if that all just faded away dramatically? Would sales just crater? Or is there enough of a foundation there to keep it going regardless of internet fame?
Probably not crater, no. Remember those foundational sticky segments we discussed?
The diaspora communities, the singers.
Exactly, the diaspora market. Professional voice users like singers. Those are deeply loyal consumers. They've relied on this for decades, long before TikTok existed. And the core value, the demulcent effect from the honey and menthol, that's totally platform agnostic. Its usefulness doesn't depend on being viral. People will still look for gentle, effective relief for sore throats and coughs, whatever's trending online. Its utility goes beyond trends.
So ultimately, while that initial Economist article was right about the current momentum of this old syrup and how U.S. trade policy affects its price, that framing the biohacking fad meets tariffs angle, it really missed some of the deeper, more lasting reasons for its success. It kind of overlooked the syrup's genuine functional use as a demulcent, didn't it? And the decades of quiet normalization by diaspora communities that paved the way. And also those fundamental structural costs tied to its unique herbs and the company's own evolving distribution strategy. This feels much more like a story of steady mainstreaming, of an enduring value rooted in tradition and effect, not just some fleeting TikTok sugar high.
Absolutely. So maybe as you encounter new trends, things that seem to pop up overnight, it's worth asking yourself, is this truly brand new? Or is it perhaps something familiar, with a long history, just finding a new audience, a new moment, driven by forces maybe far older and deeper than any algorithm or social media platform? It's often in those deeper currents, those historical connections, that the most interesting and, frankly, insightful understanding lies.
Thank you for joining us for this conversation. We really hope it's given you plenty to think about.